For most people, costumes are only meant for Halloween. You quickly make a costume, or you go to the store and pick one out, and then you're done for the year. This story isn't about those Halloween parties. This is a story about people who dress up all year round. Hannah Rissette is one of those people. Like thousands of others, she's part of the world of cosplay.
So when I was like 3 years old, I wanted to be Sailor Moon. And then I accidentally ripped up the pattern because I didn't understand what patterns were. And I saw like in magazines, because there wasn't manga then, they sold chapters of manga in comic book form almost, and there was like all these older people dressed up as Sailor Moon. I'm like, I want to do that one day.
So when she was 19, she entered the world of cosplay. A made-up world filled with fantasy, cartoons, and sci-fi.
It is a contest.
Cosplay is no light undertaking. One costume can be made up of many different elements and requires technical skills and a lot of time. Making a costume is an investment in more ways than one.
I have done, my Halloween costume was Jack Skellington, and that only took me 12 hours, which is very short, but I've spent a few hundred hours on some costumes. So it ranges on the difficulty and you like your own personal skill level.
A con, which is short for convention, is a gathering of like-minded fans. Hannah is getting ready for Otafest Aurora, which is devoted to Japanese anime and culture and holds a special place in Hannah's heart.
My best cosplay memory was my group of friends as No Game No Life last Otafest, because we just had so much fun. I'm not much for acting, so being in character was just being myself, and me and my best friend Alex just being ourselves and being like derpy and stuff. It was so much fun.
But it's not always fun in games. There is a much darker, more sinister side to cosplay, especially for women.
It's just people who are not connected with cosplay, that don't understand it and probably don't respect it. That sort of see the women in cosplay more as objects than people who are expressing their passion.
Andrew Gosson is a cosplay photographer and well-respected member of the cosplay community. Having attended over 20 cons, he's seen the good, the bad, and the men who sexualize the female cosplayers because of their provocative costumes.
There are a few bad apples in the community. A few months ago, right after Otafest, there was some rumors about this particular Calgary photographer that was soliciting underage girls for quite lewd and offensive photo shoots, particularly lingerie and stuff like that. And a couple of us banded together and got him banned from every con in Western Canada.
Hannah knows this side of cosplay all too well. Having gone to cons for a couple of years now, she and her friends have seen their fair share of harassment.
It depends. Like at cons, I've been harassed, but I've also made a ton of really good friends. My best friend Katie has been harassed more than I have. Like every con she goes to, someone goes up to her, and we joke about it now, but someone just straight up went up to her, stared at her chest, and was like, "I'm sure you have a great personality." I worry. I make sure all like my tops are like, when I'm scantily clad cosplays, everything's like taped in. And like nothing can like slip or bad things happen, to give people a reason to like be a jerk.
I know that there are some people who don't really understand boundaries at these conventions, and in the past that's been a problem, and that's what started the Cosplay is Not Consent movement.
Dorothy Laskovsky has also seen this harassment firsthand. Having been a cosplayer for a number of years, she thinks one of the reasons that the incidents happen is because some people get a little too involved with the characters.
It's just people who don't have social skills, and like they'll have like some fan fictions in their heads of like having a relationship with some fictional character or something like that. And then they go to a convention and see somebody dressed as that character, and they just don't really understand the boundaries.
To combat this bad behavior, most conventions have taken up a Cosplay Does Not Equal Consent initiative, which is aimed at protecting cosplayers. At conventions, organizers remind participants to watch out for each other, and posters encourage congoers to report any harassment. There is zero tolerance for creeps.
So for me, it just, whatever. Those people are pathetic, and there's not really any reason to give anything that they say any merit.
Despite the leering men and the darker side of cosplay, Dorothy loves the feeling of putting on a handmade costume. She says there's no better feeling, and it makes her feel proud.
Naturally, I'm an introvert, and I just feel really awkward around people, but when I wear the costumes, I feel really confident in that, hey, this is something that I made, this is something that I did, and that just kind of gives me the pride and the energy to just keep going and be more outspoken and talk to new people and stuff like that.
Like Dorothy, Hannah finds many reasons to embrace the hobby.
I like it because I like making things, and I like expressing myself creatively through that. Other people like the attention. It's a good reason to see your friends and stuff, and like travel and just have constructive activities. So there's whole lots of reasons.
I like the knowledge thing. I'm really smart and I like knowledge. I read books all the time.
They're not taking into account necessarily the fact that it's also titillating to their, the male observers around them, and potentially the women observers around them as well, as we objectify women's bodies, right? In a kind of universally, it's that male gaze piece, right? And it's not, it's a very normal way of looking at women's bodies, sexualized, objectified.
Kimberly Williams, a women's studies professor at Mount Royal University, says it's complicated. She says that cosplay can be just as empowering as it is disempowering for women. It's not all black and white.
So I think there's a couple things that are going on here, and it's not an either-or situation. They are engaged in a community of empowerment, in a community in which they can feel good about themselves. They can take an opportunity to dress up as whichever character and kind of go undercover as that character, and be powerful in that space.
Without any pre-con trepidation, Hannah is eager to get her costume done in time for Otafest. After working into the wee hours of the morning, Hannah completes her winter-themed Shiro costume from No Game, No Life. This year, there were no incidents at Otafest. It would appear that the Cosplay is Not Consent movement has begun to take a strong hold over the cosplay community, allowing cons to get one step closer to creating a safe convention environment for everyone.